What's up, guys? So I want to talk a bit about something I've personally talked a lot about, which is why we continue to get bad video games products. You know, developers ripping consumers off for things like DLC and all other stuff. Um, it's not all as bad as it has been. I will say that it's good to see this, by the way, that here we have Black Flags Matter. So, Black Flags Matter, I'm just going to show you real quick. I'm not going to show you the whole video, but you guys can go check it out. You should. And it talks about, it says, motorsport games and the NASCAR fan base are fools, right? So, basically, he talks about everything that's been going on with, this latest DLC and all of that stuff, of course. But the important stuff really comes in the second half, and he starts telling people, what are you doing? You know, buying this stuff. Like, finally, we're getting someone in the community with a large following, right? He's got almost 70,000 subscribers, and that's what I want to see. I want to see people in the community, content creators, use their platform to try and educate their subscribers and their followers. Sometimes I think, and this is just a feeling I get, I think there are content creators who are afraid to say something that's going to get backlash because they they make a living from their platform, right? And for one reason or another, they don't want to be critical of the people that actually watch their content. Um, but I've personally been, you guys know, if you've been watching me long enough, um, I've been repeating myself ad nauseum for years, telling people nothing's going to change if you keep handing over your money. And here we see this DLC was released, immediately people started buying it. And there's all these people complaining, and they're upset, and they're shocked that once again they got ripped off. And I told people, I said, you deserve what you get. You're not learning. It's like, how many times do you burn your hand and still put your hand on a flame, on an open flame? It's insane to me, right? But this isn't just NASCAR. This is the entire video game community. Like, this consumer base is insane. Go watch what's going on in the Madden community with EA, and it's the same thing. These people, they, pitchforks, and they're ready to storm the castle, and the very next year, EA releases the next game, and they pre-order, and they buy it, and and it's the same cycle repeating itself. And I keep telling people, especially in the content creator community, use your platform to educate people and make them wake up and say, you are the reason this continues. You can only blame the con artist for so long. If you keep falling for the con, at some point you have to take blame. So this is really good to see this. I'm hoping to see more content creators do this. Now, I'm not going to say I'm the only one, but I know for a fact I've been at the forefront of this issue for years. I will say there are other people who have also, done the same. What If Racing has done it. He has told people that follow him the same thing. Hey, wait, don't just buy this stuff. So it's good to see. I want to see more people do it. This is a tiny channel, right? So as much as you may agree with something I say, I just don't have that kind of sway, right? Not a lot of people know who I am. And this is what I want to see. Look at this, a guy with almost 70,000 subs. I want to see more of this. So this is good. Kudos to him. But here's a problem that persists, and it's Captain Sleeveless once again, and I'm just amazed. Either is this on purpose, or he really doesn't understand yet. And he's not he can't be, he's got to be smarter than this. So
Motorsport Games has failed us.
right. So we're gonna watch this. I'm gonna give you my thoughts on it. Um, I really don't enjoy. But I don't know. Some of you might get the wrong impression. I do not enjoy um, going after people in the community. Like, I think we all have the same goals. Like, we all want better games. But wanting something, complaining, being critical, that's all important, right? It's part of the process. But the biggest part of the process, um, I feel like Captain Sleeveless here does not get it. He has almost 75,000 subscribers. This is why it bothers me. I can't tell another content creator what to say and do, and if he truly has specific opinions, whether I agree with it or not, it's his opinions, right? But there are aspects of what he says that make no sense, and I have to be critical. Like, I don't want to do this. And I've done a few videos on him ever since the motorsport games came on the scene. But then I haven't really mentioned him. Because I really don't want to be super critical or nitpicky over every little thing. But this is really important. Which is why I'm here. I just want you guys to see this. So he does a video. This is mostly about the DLC, the way things have been going. And he's upset, just like we all are. But like I said, it's one thing to be mad, and it's one thing to be critical of the game developers. But unless you are willing to really go after what the real issue is, what the problem is, as I've told you, it's the consumers. As long as you give your money to these game developers, what is the incentive for them to do something different? So we're going to listen to this, and I'm going to analyze it as we go.
Yet again, a video that I did not want to make. I was hoping I didn't have to do. And honestly, I didn't even think about ever really having to do it because they didn't release a game, guys. They released a DLC. It's not a game. So I wasn't expecting to make this, but unfortunately, you gotta do what you gotta do. The NASCAR Heat 5 update released last week. You guys have seen it. For me, the experience went better than most. I mean, mine worked. It still works. I can go on it right now if I wanted to. But for a lot of you guys, it has not. I've gotten a lot of message requests on Instagram, on Twitter. Patreon members on the Discord have also told me for them it has not been working. And that's the main point. Motorsport Games has failed us because the freaking DLC doesn't work. There's apparently... They're working on it in terms of updating a DLC with a patch. Again, this isn't a game. I want to make this very clear. This is not a game. This is not a new game. This is not a new release. This is not working on a game that, is 6 months old. This is a game that was released in 2020. Yeah. And apparently it needs patches, and here we go. You guys want me to go?
Now, before we move forward, I just want to say everything he's saying here is true. It's obvious, right? I don't disagree with anything he's saying here. Let's move forward.
And I'm going in a little bit. I'm not going to go too hard because obviously I'm not kind of, I don't get too high and I don't get too low, right? Here's the fact of the matter. If you can't release DLC at a proper state, like a normal state, like, again, I want to make this very clear, not a game, DLC. If you can't release that in a proper state, then it's time to go. Certain developers work very few of them, because the majority of them are working on the IndyCar game and Le Mans and some other like Studio 397's working on R Factor 2 and the Le Mans game and all that base, and then they have other developers working on the IndyCar game and probably a very small team working on the NASCAR DLC. Those members that are working on the NASCAR DLC, unless they have some good reasons, They deserve to be let go. You have to you either have to find new developers or find new team leaders or whatever. It's unacceptable at this point, guys. It's unacceptable. It goes on to the leadership of motorsport games as well, that these things are allowed to release without any testing. I mean, there's no beta testing. There's none. If they
I've told you guys this a million times. There's no quality control. The testing, we're the testers, right? The consumer who buys the game is the one that tests it. Then they got to release patches for a DLC. Everything he's saying here is obvious. It's true, but we should be well beyond this at this point.
tell you they're beta testing, they aren't. There are so many clear and glaring issues that you see from the get-go of the game, whether it's texture resolution. A lot of people can see the resolution of the next-gen cars is basically 720p, which is just genuinely unacceptable for games that are released on PC and console in the year 2023, a game that was made in 2020. The actual resolution of the next-gen cars is lower than the original the original cars from NASCAR Heat 5. Genuinely unacceptable on every level. Then there's career mode issues where it puts driver or something, whatever your last name is, on the rear windshield of the car, but it's like Photoshop. It goes over the rear windshield. You can still see the other driver's name in a weird way. Just a bunch of stupid, you won't even call it bugs. It's just lack of detail, lack of attention, lack of knowledge. I'm honestly starting to convince myself that they don't understand how to do things, how to code certain things into a game.
Listen, at the end of the day, whether it's because they don't know what they're doing or they don't care, the fact is they know what condition it's in when they release it. The same thing with NASCAR Ignition. When that was released, I told everybody they chose to release the game knowing full well that it was broken and unfinished. And they didn't have to do it. And people, he was the first to do it, by the way, and everybody else followed in line about the licensing and how motorsport games or any game developer has that because of the license, they have no choice. They have to release a game every year. Therefore, they had a deadline. And even though the game was incomplete and an absolute pile of trash, that they would knowingly release it because they didn't have a choice. I always told you guys that's not a thing. It's all bullshit. It's just pulled out of thin air, right? I told you guys. So they know what they're doing. They released this. They knew the condition it was in. They don't care. And they still charge you money for it. The question now becomes why? Why are they doing this? And there are people that keep thinking that there's some technical issue why they're doing it, or it's something out of their reach or capability to deal with. No. As long as they get your money, what is the incentive for them to do what they need to do to deliver a proper product? If you keep handing over your money, there is no incentive. If I get away with selling you a box full of shit, literal shit, and you buy it and you fucking complain and you scream about it, and then the next time I bring this box of shit to you, you buy it again and you complain, what's the incentive for me to do something different? If I can get away with taking a shit in a box and selling it to you, and you're stupid enough to continue to hand over your money, what difference does it make if you complain about what I'm doing? Why would I stop? Why would I take more time and resources to try and work harder to deliver a better product if I'm still making money selling you shit, which takes less effort, less resources, and whatever. So I have a bad reputation. So what? Look at EA. EA has one of the worst reputations in the gaming industry. And this is not new. It's been like this for 15 years. And yet people will still run and pre-order Madden football every year. Even though they get burned every year, they continue to go and hand over their money. So this is why I call people lemmings, and I say they have the mind of a 10-year-old. And I have people who don't like me saying that. The truth hurts. I'm sorry. If you act like a 10-year-old and you behave like a 10-year-old, then I'm going to call you a 10-year-old.
Which is weird because the NASCAR Rivals is a straight port of NASCAR E5. NASCAR Rivals has the next-gen cars in the game. NASCAR Rivals does not have these issues. On a lower texture, lower resolution, less powerful system, and yet they can't get this right on NASCAR E5 on PC with more powerful textures, more powerful resolution. Issues even happening. The Atlanta 4th gear to 5th gear thing. How do you have a new version of Atlanta with the cars? This stuff is unacceptable, guys. This stuff is absolutely...
I mean, we already know this thing is loaded with one issue after the other. That's not what's important. I want to get to the important stuff.
At that point, this is when... What's the point? What's the point of doing this? I want to ask Motorsport Games this question. What is the point of doing this?
The point of doing this is to take more of your money. I mean, I don't understand how there are people that are still asking this question. They're getting away with taking your money for garbage, for something they put no effort into. They don't care. You're asking, what's the point? The point is to take more of your money. And if you don't understand that, and that the problem is the gaming community, the consumer who keeps handing over money to these developers, that is the problem.
Do you guys want to make good games or not? Because you can't even release a DLC properly. And I want to make this extremely, extremely clear. I'm not going after people who play the game. I'm not going after people who support Motorsport Games and are buying their products.
That's my fucking problem. Why aren't you going after those people? They're the ones helping this developer stay in business and to continue to, and basically telling them it's okay for you to get for you to do this. We're going to continue to support you. That's my problem. And if you have 75,000 subscribers and you can't, and he's done this before, tell your community you are the problem, and you shouldn't be spending your money like this. You are creating a bigger problem. And he's done this before. He said, I don't want to tell people how to spend their money. That's why things continue to snowball the way they are. And nothing's going to change until people like this with a platform of this size, you're not willing to call out the people who are contributing to this problem. That's the real issue here. Everybody knows these developers they'll rip you off any chance they get. What's going to stop if you're not willing to not hand over your money? I'm not going to go after the people buying this stuff. That is the problem. He doesn't get it yet.
I'm not going after community managers and even lead team developers on other projects. I know lead team developers over there that are working on the IndyCar game that I would put my full faith and trust in because they are extremely, extremely intelligent people.
Really? Why in the world would you put your full faith and trust into them? Where did you get this faith from? Ignition? Oh, it's a different guy. It's the same people. It's this Studio 390 whatever. You have 100% faith and all this complete total trust. How do you say something like that after everything we've seen? This is incredible to me. He cannot be this clueless. He can't be this fucking clueless. After everything he's seen, he's still pushing like, oh, these guys are good people. So what this is doing is when they start pushing pre-orders for the IndyCar game, that people are going to say, well, Captain Sleeveless told me that he has full faith in those guys. This is going to be different from what happened with Ignition and with what happened with this NASCAR DLC. He's trying to make it seem like it's just a handful of people that are responsible for all this, and that for somehow this whole group of guys that is working on IndyCar side of things is going to be different. He has his full faith in these guys.
But whoever's working on the NASCAR side of things, which is a very small group of people,
he's admitting it's just a couple of people. So that means the vast majority of motorsport games, the developers, are working on this other game. And he wants to make it sound like the problems we're seeing is just a handful of people. You can't make this shit up. I can't believe he's saying this.
Yeah. That enough is enough. Enough is enough. I don't know what's going on, but enough is freaking enough.
You don't know what's going on.
I don't know whether you need more qualifications to get new developers in, or if it genuinely is a team leader issue or whatever is going on. But it needs to be uprooted, literally. Like, you have the plant in the soil. It's dying. It's been dying for 2 years, 3 years. Take it by its neck, rip it out of the soil, and place new seeds into it. That's what needs to happen. It is genuine.
I don't have a fucking clue what this analogy is about, but I can tell you, until consumers take a stand and say, I'm not buying what you're selling, and until I see that you develop and push a product that actually works the way it's intended to work, that meets the standards and quality that we expect in 2023, okay? If and when we see that, then I'll hand over my money. That's what these content creators are supposed to be there for, so that when these products come out, they test it, they play it, they tell you their honest opinion about it. Now, he already told everybody that his DLC works. So he's clueless. Somehow he got some magic copy. It didn't cause problems for him. But so many people got in touch with him, I guess he felt obligated to make this video, which he starts off the video just telling you, I didn't want to do this. So he's reluctantly doing this because his own community is pushing him to do something because people are desperate. But sometimes, that, like a good parent, you have to educate your children and tell them when they did something wrong and not automatically defend them. And that's why I've been on this forever. It's good to see that some content creators out there are starting to wake up and tell their audience, their subscribers, their supporters, that's the problem. You got to stop. So, What If Racing, he put up plenty of information for you guys. But it was too late because most of the people were already saying, oh yeah, I bought it and I'm going through this and that. Well, you shouldn't have done that. If you waited just a day or two, you could have got all the information you needed. You could have had What If telling you all these issues. And you could have said, not this time. But instead, what most of the people in the community did was run out and buy it. They couldn't wait. They downloaded it as soon as it was available, and then they're crying. They're crying the blues. And I'm supposed to feel sorry for them? I mean, I feel sorry for the people that the rest of us who are waiting for a decent NASCAR game and can't get it. That we're stuck in this mess because of the other idiots who keep handing over their money. Same thing with the Madden community. There's people there desperately waiting for a halfway decent game. But because the vast majority of that community is full of lemmings, they run out and buy it and complain. Well, they keep EA in business. If just once people got together and said, we're going to take a stand, we're going to boycott this next game. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. They release it. Could you imagine they release a Madden football game that nobody bought? Do you understand what that would do to EA, to their stock? Their shareholders would be livid. The only language that matters in the world of business is money, transaction. Something either sells or it doesn't. That is what dictates what happens next. You could talk about bad leadership all you want, but it's not bad leadership if he's still getting suckers and lemmings to buy. Because he can go back to his shareholders and show we're still making money. Don't worry about all that negative press. That's the only language they understand is money. And Captain Sleeveless doesn't get it. I can't believe he is this clueless.
Genuinely unacceptable on every level, because I want to repeat this again. We are talking about a DLC, not a game. If you cannot release DLC in a proper manner, there's nothing to talk about here. And I'm trying to make it very clear that I don't want to be overcritical. I find it uncomfortable.
Why don't you want to be over? What is this overcritical? If anybody deserves to be fucking blasted, it's Motorsport Games. But it's like really difficult for him. He's conflicted. He doesn't want to do it. This is what you do for a living. This is what makes me fucking livid. And I don't want it to seem like I'm only blaming him for everything. I'm not. But this is a big problem in the video game community. It doesn't matter if it's a NASCAR game or Madden football or something else. Why is it that a community that is based largely on full-grown adults cannot grasp the simple concept of economy? I don't get it. It's the most simple, basic fundamentals of economy. Supply and demand, you buy. If people run out and buy, they're just going to supply you with more garbage. I don't fucking get it.
Comfortable, like calling for people to either get fired or to for things to be redone. I find that uncomfortable. I don't want to do that. But
this is what's wrong. I mean, this is capitalism. If you fail because you can't produce a decent product that people want to buy, guess what happens? You fail. You go out of business. Whatever the case may be. I don't understand this. You want these people to flourish financially and be in business, but you also want them to give you a better product. That's not how it works.
something needs to change, because if you literally can't...
Yeah, something needs to change, but he doesn't understand. The thing that needs to change is the consumer's mentality of blindly handing over money. And all you have to do is wait a couple of days. That's it. That's why I tell people this whole thing about pre-ordering is fucking insane. Why would you ever commit your money to a product you don't know what it is? And you can't wait a day or two for people in the community, for content creators to get their hands on a game or a product and then tell you what it is and show it to you so you can know if it's garbage or not? You can't do that. I literally have people telling me they're upset. I'm calling them 10-year-olds because they continue to act like 10-year-olds, but they don't see it that way. They literally tell you, I don't have a choice. I buy this because I don't have a choice. I have to buy it because I can't afford iRacing. That's an incredibly stupid argument. And if you don't have somebody telling you that's stupid, that's the logic of a 10-year-old, wake up, stop doing this. Because look, if you keep giving them your money, what is the incentive for them to do a better job or for something to change? There is no incentive. If you can't understand that, you really are lost. And this guy still, to this day, doesn't understand that the real problem is consumers handing over their money for garbage. Why would they do anything different?
And how am I supposed to have faith in you to release games when you haven't been able to do that, by the way, in a proper state, but you can't release DLC? I don't understand what is supposed to happen. What's supposed to happen? What faith is there? Like I said a week or two ago, was it 2 weeks ago? Is there any hope? Hope is an amazing thing. Hope is something that you can't really put a price on. Like, hope is this thing that, you know, everyone kind of wants and hopes and keeps, and, you know, it's there, right? It always leads you to believe in the future. How can I have any hope in you guys as a company to deliver quality NASCAR products? NASCAR is right there. I think there's incredible merch opportunities there with merchandise, with old school NASCAR things, retro NASCAR. Just NASCAR as like a fashion thing, I think is just waiting for there to be absolutely booming. And on the gaming side of things, I think there's untapped potential that has been there for a very long time. I think that...
Which I agree with, which I've talked about plenty of times. The video games are a portal for new fans to fall in love with NASCAR and get interested in the sport. But I've talked about it ad nauseum, but NASCAR, for whatever reason, right, and I've already told you, my speculation is they painted themselves in a corner with these licensing deals, right? Because I honestly believe it doesn't make sense that they wouldn't. Why would they not pull the license if they could? The reason they haven't pulled the license is because they can't. They messed up big time. Whatever deal they agreed to, Motorsport Games obviously has fulfilled their end of the bargain, which leads me to believe that whatever deal they had in place was front-loaded, meaning whatever NASCAR was requiring, they probably just got up front. Maybe Motorsport Games wrote them a check for whatever amount they agreed to and said, okay, everything that happens from here forward, it's us. You don't get a percentage or nothing from the game. Usually, they'll, you know, I don't want to say usually because I don't know for sure, but I would think that a deal should be, you know, struck on a percentage of game sales, right? Somehow. Because if it was a percentage of game sales, then obviously Motorsport Games would fail and breach. They would be in breach of contract or whatever the licensing deal is because they didn't sell shit. They've been hemorrhaging money. So whatever requirements would normally be there should have been enough for NASCAR to say, you didn't sell shit. We didn't get the minimum of what we were requiring, and so we're pulling the license. But they're not doing that, which leads me to believe that maybe they just got some, you know, a flat fee or something up front. Maybe Motorsport Games just wrote them a check and just said, okay, whatever happens from here forward, it's, you know, stay out of it. It's you know, profits will be 100% ours. You got what you got, or whatever they agreed to. Now, I don't know that, right? I'm just speculating because it doesn't make sense to me that they're powerless to pull the license because they're not selling it. You know, they're not making money. So, I don't know. But in either case, this is why I stopped. You know, I'm not going to... From what I see, there's nothing that can be done there. From what I see on the game developer side is they're not going to change. They're clueless. They can't get it. You know, whether they're inept, they don't have the resources. When they did have the resources, they didn't know what they were doing. Whatever the case may be, they are not going to deliver a quality product. He's talking about hope, but he's talking about hope, and he just earlier mentioned that he has so much faith in the people that are working on the IndyCar game, which makes zero sense to me.
With what NASCAR is about, and especially how I got into NASCAR as well when I was a kid, when EA weren't focused on Ultimate Team and they were focused on actually making solid games, there was so much potential there to get the younger audience involved, and I promise you, with so many people that I know in my life, including myself, the reason why we are into NASCAR today as adults is because of the video games. And they're in today's world where kids are having iPads and iPhones at the age of like 4 or 5 or 6. Like genuinely they are intertwined with technology from the get-go. We had kind of just mainly video games. They have everything. You have the mobile side of things that you can do. You can make a lot of money. Honestly, that can make a lot of money on the mobile side of things if you can make proper NASCAR mobile games. You can make.
You don't have to make a proper game. You could make shit wherever you want, because you're always going to have people that are going to just blindly hand over their money. And then you're going to have people like Captain Sleeveless tell you, I'm not going after people that buy it or nothing. I'm just going to keep complaining and sort of begging the developer to do a better job, but I'm not going to hold consumers' feet to the fire.
Make a lot of money on the console side of things with the younger audience if you make proper NASCAR games. And if you want to do it in a way, you can make a lot of money in a way that EA kind of does it without the Ultimate Team, where we will pay for season passes. We will pay for DLC. We will pay for cosmetics.
He's telling you the opposite of what I've been telling you. These things, you shouldn't spend money on these things, because what's going to happen is you're going to incentivize them to focus more on DLC and garbage shit instead of the main game. They can't wait to rush out that game so they can start with the DLC and the paint schemes. And he's telling you, okay, he's telling you we're going to buy all this stuff. That's what he's telling you here. We'll buy all this. We'll buy it.
Helmet cosmetics, suit cosmetics, the car, the teams, certain logos on banners for multiplayer, all these things that I am okay with.
Why? Why are you okay with that?
With those types of microtransactions in a game, except furniture, don't put furniture in a racing game. But everything else I'm okay with. All of this is at your potential. NASCAR, this is at your...
Because people like him are okay with it, is why game development today is where it is. Where you get these... Don't you notice these games, the story modes, everything is shorter and small? The actual game experience is a lot. You get less now for what you used to get years ago in older generations. Because now it's more about online, DLC, skins, meaningless trinkets that they can package. They can package these things, $10, $15, it adds up. So the main game just becomes a portal to more money. And you got guys like this with 75,000 subscribers telling his community, yeah, we will keep buying this. He's okay with it.
Or potential. You can make money off of this too. Not just the gaming companies, but you can make a lot of money off of this and a lot of growth potential with the younger audience who want to get involved.
He almost sounds gleeful, like with all the money they could siphon from people. It's just...
And it is just dying in the soil with no one with no one paying the right attention to it. So this is the straight message to motorsport games and to NASCAR.
Watch this.
If you guys don't want to be serious about this, then
here's what he thinks is going to happen. Well,
get rid of it. Just forget it. Don't even make games. Be IndyCar for the last 20 years. Not even a single game, right? Whatever. Forget it. You could work on iRacing, but iRacing is expensive. Trust me. It just to buy certain tracks along with the membership, along with a wheel, along with pedals, we're already approaching $1,000, okay? It's not realistic for a majority of young people to get into iRacing. When you get into like middle school, high school, you ask your parents and stuff, maybe start working a little bit, it's realistic. But it's not realistic.
Wait till you hear his solution.
To expect the younger audience to get into iRacing. And iRacing is simulation. It's not really that it's not really for the casual sit down and have those, good vibes. It's a lot different than that. It's toxic in a way as well when you get into the official racing. That's its own separate thing. That's always going to be there. There's untapped potential in the console games that NASCAR and motorsport games are throwing away. They're just genuinely throwing away. And I know these people care about money. I'm talking about the top executives, right? The guys in the suits that provide for their families, that are 40, 50, 60 years old, that don't give a crap about really playing the video games but making the business. Well, I'm talking directly to you. There's a ton of business to be made within NASCAR, within this section, and you guys are throwing it away. NASCAR, the marketing and gaming side of it, and motorsport games. Both of you are responsible for putting out solid NASCAR content for the.
NASCAR is not responsible for that. Now, NASCAR can do something. They can maybe structure their licensing deals better to help promote better games, but they're not game developers, and they don't have any control over how these games are made. But how do you control them? First of all, stop issuing exclusivity with your license, so that these developers have, okay, you have a license to make a game, but you're going to have competition. We're not just going to give you exclusivity. You're going to have to try harder in order to be competitive. But if you hand out exclusivity, then they can make any shit and stamp NASCAR's name on it. So that is the extent of what NASCAR can do. But outside of that, there's not much else they can do. So they do have some responsibility, but again, never does he mention consumers and their role in all this.
The younger audience, and even people my age, mid-20s, who would love to enjoy and sit back, because again, there's something different about just not having to be like up on the wheel, like with someone from Connecticut who dumps me and then calls me, a B word or something. I don't really need that. I just want to race, have fun against a computer version of Chase Elliott and wreck him and say, haha, you're a bum, because it's kind of cool and funny, right? There's untapped potential here to make money. There's untapped potential here to grow your sport. And it happened. It happened in the 2000s. The video games were a part of helping you grow your sport. That's what a lot of the younger audience got into it, because of the video games. You can do it again. You can do it again. So motorsport games, genuinely, you have failed us. NASCAR, you have failed us. I'm tired of this. Get your crap together.
Look out, guys. Captain Sleeveless is upset, and he's telling them to get their crap together. So I'm sure that, they're going to work harder now. They're going to try harder because he's asking them to.
Or I want to see a joint statement within the next 2 months that says NASCAR and motorsport games have agreed to part ways by mutual decision, and the future of the NASCAR license and gaming company will be determined in the future. And if you don't want to make games, NASCAR, that's fine. And
why would they do that? Because you demanded it? Either do a better job, or in 2 months from now, just decide to part ways like magic. You see what I mean? He talked about hope earlier. This is all like fantasy-based hope. Nothing's going to change. Nothing is going to make anybody walk away from any deal just because you're shaming them. That's not enough. It's important for us to criticize. I do that too. But if you don't have a plan of action, if you're not willing to tell people don't give them your money, if people stopped giving them their money, guess what? They would eventually collapse, and it would just happen naturally, the way it's supposed to in capitalism, right? We're supposed to be all about capitalism, right? Well, that's how capitalism works. You don't tell people, I'm not gonna criticize people who keep handing over their money. This is insane.
motorsport games, you want to lose a license, that's fine. But if you don't want to take this seriously, that's what I'm expecting. If you do want to take it seriously, then when you release products, make sure the crap works. I don't care who you gotta pay. I don't care who developers you gotta make. And by the way, please beta test your products before you release them.
You think they don't know they're supposed to beta test and do all that stuff? They're not. It's not that they don't know that they're supposed to do it. It's that they don't give a fuck. Because people are still gonna hand over their money until you learn that you need to stop handing over your money. This is not gonna change.
I'm tired of it. Your reputation is down the toilet, okay? Because you are not doing the things that a company should be doing in any way, in any facet. This is a 2022 update released in the middle of 2023 that's broken. It's DLC, not a game.
Look out, he's mad.
This is a joke. So
This is a joke.
figure it out. Within 2 months, if you don't want to do this, if you don't want to make the money, if you don't want to do any of it, whatever, 2 months, NASCAR, Motorsport Games, come to a mutual agreement, part ways, whatever. I don't care.
This is not how life works. This isn't how life works. And you wonder why sometimes I say the things I say. And I really don't want to hurt people's feelings. I don't want to come across as, being disrespectful. I really don't. But this is what we're dealing with. When there are people out there that think that this is the way the world works, you just tell these people, well, either do this or you should just walk away. I'm sure they're going to listen.
If you want to do it, then get your crap together and show that you're serious. Because I'm tired of it. I'm genuinely tired of it. Get it done. Motorsport game.
Wow. Can you feel it? It's insane to me that after everything we've seen, he still doesn't get it. Still doesn't understand what the real problem is. And as long as you're not willing to tell your 75,000 subscribers that they are the problem, they are the reason that this continues, why we're not going to get a NASCAR game for years. We don't know what's going to happen with these people. They're working on this IndyCar game, but according to him, he has full faith in them for the IndyCar game. It's just a handful of people that are working on the NASCAR side of things that where things are messed up. I mean that you heard him say it. This company it's an atrocious bonfire, but he has full faith in the people working on the IndyCar game, which pretty much greenlights his subscribers to just pre-order when they ask you to pre-order blindly. And he's not going to hold your feet to the fire. He's not going to criticize you for making stupid business decisions as a consumer that is hurting everyone else in the community. So when you wonder why we're not going to get a new NASCAR game anytime soon, or a game worth a damn, it's because you have people like him still telling consumers, I don't see an issue with people giving their money. It's not on you. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I look forward to your comments later.